Hello everyone and welcome to another video from joinagile.com. I'm Dmitry, your host. It's been a couple of weeks as always, and today I'd like to offer you another interview. It's going to be Agile related, as we always talk about all things Agile in real world, how we implement Agile processes, and real people talk to us about this. So today I'd like to speak to a good friend of mine who is a senior expert in Microsoft technologies about the very popular platform which is called PowerApps. So Microsoft PowerApps is something that is very popular these days on the corporate landscape, and for a lot of developers looking to apply their skills in using Scrum framework, kind of being part of Scrum teams, even Lean Kanban, I hear more and more people utilizing PowerApps kind of for rapid delivery of value and functionality that their customer needs. So today, my good friend Slava is going to talk to us about how he manages his work, how he manages his team, and ultimately just will give you probably a very quick overview also of what Microsoft PowerApps are. So yes, this video is going to be perhaps a little bit more on the technical side of things, because I know how Slava is. So he likes to talk business. He really knows his stuff, and he really likes the technology itself. So I think we're going to digress a little bit into those topics. But at the same time, this is an Agile channel. This is about empowering you guys and teaching you kind of how Agile methods work in the real life. And today is one of those days. For those people who are interested to hear about the new developments in just generally the space of Join Agile initiative, please stay until the end of the video or fast forward to it if you just can't wait to hear about that. Kind of the last quarter, I suppose, of this video would have content of me talking again to you about the latest and greatest of what's happening with Join Agile in general. But for now, please enjoy the interview, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a like, leave a comment, contact me on LinkedIn as most of you prefer doing. And yes, I hope to talk to you soon. Welcome, Slava. Thank you for joining us today to have a chat to us about Microsoft Power Apps. I already have done introduction a little bit, kind of told the audience a tiny bit about the fact that we are old friends and you are a senior technologist and someone who has worked in Microsoft technologies for quite a long time. This topic of conversation came, I think, in one of our chats when we kind of spoke about what you've been working on lately and how popular Microsoft Power Apps are becoming kind of in this corporate landscape. Maybe before we jump to the Agile stuff per se, to the process, maybe if you could just, introduce yourself a little bit to the audience and say a couple of words about what is about Power Apps, why Power Apps, why is this the hot thing right now on the market? Why is that such a, I assume, good thing for aspiring Microsoft developers to start paying attention to?
Mm-hmm. A couple of words about myself. I've been working with technology for a while now, especially with collaboration platforms like Microsoft SharePoint from 2004. So recently we started using a lot of Power Apps and this Power Platform, what it's called, from Microsoft, which includes Power Apps, Microsoft Flow, and Power BI. Why is it so cool, I think, at the moment is because it allows a rapid development of applications without too much coding, and Excel-like functions, I would say functional paradigm, which allows quickly to deliver value to the customers straight away. It's data-driven or process-driven applications that we can quickly create and change and deploy to different environments. That's I think the main idea. So it's a rapid and quick delivery of value to the business.
So ultimately, the customers who you work with, corporate clients, what would they need to take advantage of this platform? So I understand that you still develop something, but they need to have that platform running on their in their environments. Is this a mobile platform? Like how does it actually work?
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's Power Apps is part of Office 365, so
Right.
it's in the cloud. So it's a cloud-based platform that you can access as a developer. For example, you access it online, so you just need a browser. So there is nothing else required to build.
Mhm.
And users, when you publish it, when you share it with people, they just access it on their mobile devices or online. So for example, I created an app, we can embed it in even on the website. Most likely it will be SharePoint Online because as part of Office 365, users get SharePoint to collaborate, to build intranets, or to build some web presence internally inside the company. So you can utilize the apps in either your smartphone or the website. So you basically, you just need access to internet to use it. More and more customers are getting into this. Not customers, more businesses, I would say. They see value in this.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So they can see value in this, and many people try to offer this as part of their product or services, right? So consulting companies or internal developers who want to, deliver something or create some solutions
Right.
for if they work for certain companies inside. Um, I think they also when because I remember it's not a new technology, right? So it's not a new platform. So Power Apps has been there for some time, not a long time, but say some 3 years maybe, right? I started hearing about it earlier, and it was quite rough, raw at that time. So I was quite skeptical about this myself.
Yeah.
So because what I've seen in the beginning is what it was not there yet, but as I started using it recently, and we can talk about different examples maybe when we talk more about Agile or something, how we actually did this stuff recently for our clients.
Yeah,
And
we'll get to that.
yes, that's right. So can even explain how I started seeing the bill as a technical specialist, right? As a
Oh, fair enough.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so because as I said before, I was quite skeptical myself, but now I can see real potential and real value in this platform.
Well, see, that's an interesting point you're making there because like we knew each other for quite some time, and I know that we had a fair amount of jokes kind of shared between ourselves kind of in the background as far as does Agile really work for some
Mm-hmm.
development environments, for some processes, for legacy systems, for that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which certainly has a lot of, and I am obviously a professional agilist, but at the same time, I'm very realistic about all of that. So I know that in some cases, it's very, very hard to introduce proper, true, iterative, and collaborative realization of value on some platforms. But sounds to me like Power Apps perhaps gave you that tool set,
Mm-hmm.
that power, no pun intended, to
Mm-hmm.
actually faster realize value and see how those methods that we've been talking about and we've been working together even on, like using the introducing agility, lean methods,
Mm-hmm.
how you finally can utilize this because you are enabled also by technology. So that
Mm-hmm.
that I think is one way to look at it, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
So maybe
So,
maybe then kind of capitalizing on this momentum, maybe then if we go towards your examples, because I'm sure everyone would be interested to hear. So
mm-hmm.
let's say an aspiring Microsoft developer starts paying more attention to Power Apps. So what
Mm-hmm.
is your specific experience with changing the way you work with your team, yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Where does Agile come in for you? So now we're talking less about technological part and more about how do you plan your work? How do you visualize your work? What do you do?
Okay. Yeah. So it all starts with a conversation with the potential business person, right? Who wants to get some functionality, and or yeah,
Tell
we see some
everyone.
business. Yes, that's right, and we see some business purpose. Then we sit down and discuss with them. Um, yeah, so what they are trying to achieve, and as a result of that will be user stories. So we talk to people in terms of user stories. That's the starting point. So we say
you're trying to plan out what kind of user types, what kind of personas would be involved. You derive stories based on those personas identified. Maybe as a manager, I want to something. As a student, I want to do something. So
yes, in that case, what I could provide as a very fresh example is as a salesperson or as a sales manager.
Yeah.
So as a salesperson, I want to have an ability to quickly calculate the margins that I will get on a specific product.
Perfect. Yeah.
So this is one example that was recently, and it's very vivid, I think, and it's very good to demo, right? So because this functionality was not available in the original product, so we were talking about Dynamics 365 in this case, Dynamics CRM and the sales module. We decided that we will use PowerApps to quickly build the data entry with relevant calculations, etc. So we talked about the business rules that they need to implement. And yeah, this is a good example. As a salesperson, I want to quickly create a quote which will calculate my margins depending on different input parameters.
Yeah.
Yes. And so then we sat down within the team. We did because we were already quite experienced in doing this type of work.
Sorry, I think Skype is letting me down again. People will be yelling at me or maybe rolling their eyes in the background because you are kind of sleeping there a little bit. What was the last thing you said? Because I think there was some slippage there. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It's bloody Skype.
Yeah, that's fine. So I was saying that because we had experience creating similar things in other technologies, so we understood what it's going to take, right? But PowerApps, we knew we could do it quicker, and we could quickly. We didn't need any deployment to be done, pretty much, because you start creating an app. When the bit of functionality is available, it's basically you just share it with the users and they can start using it.
So it's very easy to release on demand.
Correct. That's right. So
through the whole bulky process or whatever you had to package and do the deployments the old way. Yeah.
Right. That's right. So this I saw very good as a very good idea. So straight away we could say, okay, we thought, okay, we need a couple of screens, and we said, okay, to achieve that functionality or achieve that, or to fulfill that user story. So we needed to do 1, 2, 3. For example, we need to create this screen with this inputs. This is what was our acceptance criteria, and we just basically with PowerApps, you point it to a data source. It straight away pre-creates you some sort of template, or not a template. Pre-creates you a dummy app that then you can customize, and you can browse data straight away.
Easier. Create a bit of base, then you just tweak it.
Exactly. So then we put the tasks on the Kanban wall to visualize our work, and we created a backlog of these specific tasks, and then we started working, basically. So we didn't have proper sprints or something. We just worked in an iterative manner, because in this case the pieces of the work were too small even for one sprint, for example, because we understood. And in this case, it was not like we didn't follow true agile methodology in this case, but yeah,
sounds like you're going towards lean. So
yes.
sounds like, and in reality, I guess that's what I wanted to use this interview to kind of maybe demonstrate, that in the real world, it's sometimes hard to stick to one or another very strictly. It doesn't mean that we're bastardizing it, but it means that there is a variety of more applicable agile or lean tools that are allowing us to fulfill what you need to do and put the customer value first. So in this case, I don't want to tell the story for you, but I kind of, because I know the background, I'm trying to help frame it, because I know what you're referring to, where it's impossible for you to make a firm commitment for a 2-week sprint.
That's right.
You treat it in a bit more fluid manner, don't you? But then you seek acceptance and you iterate on it, yeah?
Yes, that's right. So and then we just every morning we stand up and we say, okay, this is our what do we need to do? We ask these 3 questions, right? What am I working on? What is my blocking? What am I blocked or not? And
What are my blockages?
yes, that's right. And what I worked on yesterday,
Yes.
blockages today. Yes. So we do all this as part of our process. It helps us to drive the actual, deployment and actual delivery process. Yeah. So, and as I said, so Power Platform or Power Apps allows us to quickly realize value during this process. That's why I think it's very it suits very well the Lean Kanban or Agile approach in this
Agile
case.
elements of approach, yeah. And I think
Yes.
that was part of the reason why we even thought it might be worth talking about this. And one thing is me just theoretically ranting about this, and another thing is having someone who lives and breathes
Mhm.
this every day. So you cut corners, of course. You know what's superficial, what you don't need and stuff. Because I
Yeah.
think, for example, and there is no need to shy away from it, I kind of, from what I know, you don't always, and I'm not saying every customer, but you don't always have a customer who is with you on the journey every step of the way. So that's
Yes.
also they like what you were referring earlier to is that you run your discovery, you create user stories, you understand personas, the needs, but
Hmm.
then you possibly don't see the customer until you release, until the
Correct.
next release of the thing. So you are like a proxy product owner into the team, aren't you? Or
That's right. Yes. That's what my role is. So we have about 3 people now in the team doing this Power Apps stuff, and we've got trainees as well. So at the moment it's quite busy and very nice, very good. I like this process of being involved in this kind of um, teamwork where you need to plan the task, you need to do some work yourself, you need to coordinate activities, and then so from
but
this
it's
perspective.
also exactly because, but you also, I think, I was a developer years ago as well.
Mm,
Like we connect there on that level. It's very satisfying to see fast realization of value. It's not just for the customer.
yes,
It's
that's
motivating.
right.
Kind of one hand is washing another in this case. It's like
Yeah,
it's also pleasant for the team to see the results of their work
that's
faster.
right. Yes, that's right, and that's what I saw myself. So it's very satisfying when you see, oh, you can quickly achieve something, and it's
Hmm.
really quickly, So I'm not kind of pretending to, demonstrate something that is not true. So it's like it is really quick, and
Yeah.
when customers see this and they say, oh, now at my fingertips I can create quotes, for example, in a matter of seconds
Mhm.
without any kind of brain work from our side. It's really powerful to see this reaction when they say, oh, really, that's really valuable what you've done so far.
Well,
um,
that's great insight. That's a great insight. So, sorry, you go.
yeah, that's I started thinking because from the sort of agile perspective or scrum perspective, like backlogs, one of the projects which involves power apps as well, but it is a bigger size, it's intranet, which I'm currently working on. And there what I found is that we created a backlog of user stories, but they are kind of, and we are working sort of every day. There is, what is it called, grooming, right? So grooming of the backlog and
Yeah. Grooming
re-evaluation of,
is a term, slightly legacy term, refinement essentially of the work. Yeah.
yes, so grooming of the backlog and reassessment of the acceptance criteria.
Yeah.
So I give you an example. So let's say we discussed with a business, they said, yeah, we need functionality to create travel requests, right? So originally it was, yeah, we submit a travel request, then we need approval, etc.
Yeah.
Then when we get into more detail, I received, okay, this is a header on the form. For example, some basic information, the date, who is traveling, etc. And then it's like, let's say, dynamic details. So from where to where, first way, then the second path, third,
Yep.
fourth. So you see, so it changed straight away pretty much. And so in this case, we needed to quickly
React.
refine our acceptance criteria or split it into, for example, separate user stories.
Yeah.
And because I've chosen Power Apps as well to build this, we could quickly dynamically adapt to this change as well. So other system would need to probably more work to kind of adapt to this.
Absolutely, to adapt faster. Yeah. So again, I think the same point here, which I think is valuable, is the fact that one thing is choosing a method of delivery, like Agile, Scrum, whatever.
Yeah.
Another thing is making sure that your tools, the tools of work, the things you build with, are supporting that method of delivery as well, right?
That's
because
right.
Because there's no point trying to realize value fast or commit to releasing on demand or create advanced definitions of done, whatever, when your platform, when your tool set is unable to deliver that kind of stuff.
That's true. Yes.
That's cool, Slava. Thank you, mate. Like I kind of, I think we can keep talking more, of course, but I'm trying to keep it within a sensible kind of length. In case you guys are wondering whether Slava is in some way in Soviet Russia, and that's why the Skype is so bad for us. He's not. Slava is literally here around the corner in Australia, just like I am. But for some reason, I do apologize for the quality once again. This is just what we're dealing with here. But hopefully, you found it insightful. Do you want to leave us with any particular thoughts, recommendations, maybe something like anything particular that you would give it as a tip to people who are trying to do both, perhaps explore Power Apps and try Agile, like what has not worked for you, maybe some learnings? I don't know. This is a bit off the cuff. We didn't prepare this question, guys.
So what I found with Power Apps, for example, is sometimes it's trial and error, because even the documentation sometimes doesn't give you enough information. So when I started working Power Apps integrating with Dynamics 365 in particular, it's very hard to get any info like how it is all connected. So it would be some sort of learning curve, and it's not necessarily very nice and easy. But when that's and sometimes that it's funny because probably it's a cloud-based system. So I think when they try to do the behind the scenes, they try to do maybe caching or something. Sometimes it acts weirdly, but you need to just get away with this. But what I encourage people to do is to definitely look into these technologies right now.
Now is the time.
Well, yeah, it is, and Microsoft constantly publishing something new there, some new features. Yeah, one example, like between last week and this week, I saw a change in the interface. So when you start developing, there is some hints, coming up that were not there before. So it was like a change that happens again because
they are doing the same thing as you're doing. They are rapidly pushing stuff out.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Agile. They are also very agile.
They're doing very agile stuff. Yeah.
That's right. So
not announcing it.
That's right. And because sort of, how they market it as a low code or no code, right? Stuff. But you would need to understand how algoritms work, or some function, because this is again, Power Apps. One hint I recalled is that Power Apps is more like a functional paradigm, not a process, not a procedure-driven paradigm. So there is no click on the button, for example. There is a click, or how would I say? It's not like only click to something.
I don't want to turn this into a technical tutorial. For that, right. I think that's where we will gracefully wrap it up. But guys, you can find Slava Gorbunov on LinkedIn. If Slava allows me to do that, I'm going to put his LinkedIn profile in the description of this video, because Slava is a technologist. He's a passionate guy, knows a lot about this area, and I'm sure that you'd welcome questions and maybe provide some sort of advice if required. Because I think it is both good to talk to someone who practically tries to apply agile learnings and stuff, as well as almost sounds like you're trailblazing there a little bit with the Power Apps, because even Microsoft is still developing the platform. So you're one of those people in Sydney who are pushing that ahead. So I think
we are on the forefront of technology.
we're on the forefront. So guys,
Yes,
you can join me or join Agile. Yeah, pun intended. Product placement. As far as the Agile process are concerned, and Slava could be one of the people who would be a technical mentor or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. I'd like to
absolutely.
Thank you. Otherwise, you'll keep talking about technical things and binding of clicks and stuff, and I'm sure people are going to start unsubscribing right now. All right.
No, I think you will have more audience, right?
I want them to. Okay, guys. If you like this kind of stuff, prove Slava right.
Thanks for invite. Yeah, thanks for invite today to have this conversation. Yeah, we can talk about other stuff more.
Oh, mate, you and I, we can talk underwater, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be just Agile. Like if people were following us for a long time, they would have recalled a very ancient episode on the podcast. It wasn't even on YouTube, the one from me and you, where we were talking about cryptocurrency. And it was back then on SoundCloud, it received a lot of upvotes and people enjoyed it. So anyway, you guys let us know what you think. I'll wrap it up here. I'll thank Slava once again, and we'll definitely speak again at some point.
Yes, my pleasure. Yeah, thank you very much.
And there you have it, my friends. I really hope you found this insightful and hopefully a little bit entertaining as well. So now, as promised, let's talk a little bit about what's happening at joinagile.com with the Join Agile initiative in general. So what am I working on behind the scenes? So I'd like to make another little announcement, especially for my audience who are interested, that I am finishing editing of a book that I've been writing in little pieces, kind of in the free time that I had for a while now. It was always intended to be part of the series of Get Hired as Scrum Master, how to start working as an Agile coach, the Lean Kanban audiobook that I've released. This one, I was working on it for a long time and kind of finally happy to announce that it's going to be released soon enough. I assume within the next, hopefully before Christmas, within the next couple of months. So this book will be focusing on the realities of running Agile ceremonies. So all of the, practically without exception, all of the fresh Scrum Masters, even Agile coaches who I came across, sometimes are a little bit tentative when it comes to actually facilitating or even coming up with certain activities that they could do with their Agile teams. This is, so yes, Scrum Guide, for example, is a classic, I don't know, very cringily labeled as Agile Bible type of material freely available on the internet. It introduces us to all the key ceremonies and events that Scrum framework prescribes. And a lot of Agile activities that you see out there, that you probably have practiced many times yourself, they are originating from Scrum, originating from the prescriptions that we get as Agile practitioners from Scrum Guide. It is, however, not enough, and I'm sure you know it, yeah? So if you were lucky enough to shadow an existing Scrum Master or Iteration Manager when you were starting, or perhaps if an Agile coach was in your area, things are very different for you compared to a lot of practitioners who have to step up or chose to step up and who suddenly became Scrum Masters, let's say, but they kind of don't know really how to run a proper sprint planning or how to run and organize a proper discovery session that will lead into creation of a backlog. Like, it's not as trivial and not as obvious as we might think, especially the established practitioners, right? So we are all more established practitioners. I mean, we are more subjected to the curse of knowledge, right? Curse of knowledge. We think that some things are obvious. We think that some things are really kind of trivial, or you can just explore them as you go. Well, not always. Really not always. Companies, employers put sufficient amount of pressure on you. They expect you to perform. They don't always hand-hold. They don't always have someone to hand over to you. And someone handing over to you may not have done it properly themselves because they learned on the job. Things like that. So that is the premise of the book. That is the premise of something that will be voluminous enough and will talk you through all the key ceremonies step by step. It will be less rambly as my, well, I'll try, okay? I'll try. It will be less rambly than my usual audiobooks and usual kind of written ones. It will be more of a guide, literally. It will give you some introduction. It will give you some context, of course, because you need it. But at the same time, it will go specifically through step 1, step 2, step 3, what you need to do, what you need to be mindful of. And it will tell you certainly a lot more than Scrum Guide does, okay? So I'm quite excited to share this with you. I hope that you guys are interested. Contact me on LinkedIn if you'd like an early copy for review. I can't promise anything because I don't know how it will go with publishing of it, because there is a certain process associated with that. But at the same time, I will certainly keep in mind people who would like perhaps to be those early reviewers, maybe under NDA and that kind of stuff. But we can work through that. But yeah, that's the main thing that was happening behind the scenes, other than joinagile.com/portal, where certain recruiters have been trialing Join Agile skills competency testing system. And there is more stuff happening there, which I suppose I'm not ready to announce just yet, but there is certainly some traction. And there is a lot happening behind that login form that you might see if you haven't registered yet, or if you're not one of the recruiters who kind of who is in depth and who is working with me and communicating with me primarily on LinkedIn. I understand that YouTube is not that type of channel. So these are the two main things kind of worthy of mentioning. The book is coming. Hopefully you will like it, and hopefully it will be more practical rather than theoretical to you. How about we try that? And yeah, and Join Agile definitely is kind of plowing ahead there in the background as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider supporting the initiative by just even expressing your interest in this and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and maybe liking the video. If you want to share, oh my god, that would be fantastic, because the more the merrier, as I always keep saying. I know that my audience does not usually prefer to reveal themselves or rant too much in the comments, even though those few people who do, they always get my attention, and they're always the superstars. But do contact me on LinkedIn if you need any help, or if you have any suggestions, content requests. It's always very welcome. Hope you enjoyed the video once again, and I will talk to you hopefully before too long next time.